The Impaler from Transylvania, or Dracula, son of the dragon. Who was he? This is part 2 of our series about the real people behind history's biggest myths. Today we look at the man behind the myth, Vlad III, and the difference between Vlad III and the fictional Count Dracula. He ruled in the 15th century, and today we tell his story. We are in 15th century Europe. The 100 Years' War between England and France has just ended. But over here in Eastern Europe, another war is being fought, one that will have consequences for all of Europe. The Ottoman Empire and its expansion into southeastern Europe is checked by the Kingdom of Hungary, which controls much of central and eastern Transylvania. And it is in this volatile region where we meet our subject, Vlad the Impaler, later known as Dracula. Vlad was born around 1431 into the house of Dracula, meaning son of the dragon. This name comes from the Order of the Dragon, founded by his grandfather, Vlad the Impaler, who was given the order's mantle by King Sigismund of Hungary. So despite his Romanian origins, Vlad the Impaler considered himself to be a Hungarian and was related to the ruling Hungarian dynasty. His father, Vlad II Dracul, was voivode, or Prince of Wallachia, from 1436 to 1442. But after losing favor with the Hungarians, the family moved to Transylvania, where Vlad and his younger brother were taken hostage to Adrianople in the Ottoman Empire. Here they spent 7 years, staying from 1442 to 1448 in the capital of Ottoman Thrace. It is likely that these formative years in Ottoman captivity contributed to the ruthlessness of Vlad the Impaler, though the stories of his behavior are probably exaggerated. When Vlad was 17, his father was executed by the Ottomans. However, in 1448, when Vlad was 17, his father was executed by the Ottomans. This made Vlad heir presumptive of Wallachia. In 1448, when Vlad was 17, his father was executed by the Ottomans. This made Vlad heir presumptive of Wallachia. As soon as he came of age, he returned to Transylvania to rally support for his claim to the throne of Wallachia. However, before long, both brothers returned to Wallachia. While Radu accepted nominal Ottoman suzerainty, Vlad sought the support of the Hungarians against the Ottomans. With Hungarian help, Vlad seized the throne in 1456 and began his first reign as Prince of Wallachia. Vlad's first term in power lasted only 2 years. During this time, the court intrigue between the pro-Hungarian and pro-Ottoman boyars, the Romanian nobles, was constant. Even while raising an army to defend Wallachia against external threats, Vlad had to fight to consolidate his authority over the boyars. His efforts were not entirely successful, and in 1458 he fled to Transylvania. But his second reign would be far more powerful. In 1462, after suppressing a revolt by the Transylvanian Saxons, Vlad returned to Wallachia with a small force and crushed the opposition, beginning his second reign as Prince of Wallachia, which would last from 1456 to 1462. Now secure in his position, Vlad immediately turned his attention to consolidating his authority and expanding his power base. One of his first acts was to imprison many of the boyars who had opposed him, seeing them as a threat to his newly acquired stability. Vlad's record has earned him the epithet the Impaler, because he used the death penalty frequently. Most of those executed during his reign were aristocrats who opposed him, but commoners who broke the law also met their end on the executioner's block. However, this repression was necessary to maintain control and prevent rebellions, which would have destabilized the state. Despite Vlad's reputation for cruelty, it is important to note that such a policy was not uncommon among medieval rulers. Indeed, it was considered normal to use fear to maintain order and obedience. Although Vlad's early reputation was shaped by his violent actions, the truth was that he was seen as a kind and intelligent ruler. This perception was reflected in contemporary chronicles, which praised his ability to govern and manage the kingdom's affairs, particularly his efforts to improve the lives of the peasants. Despite these positive views, Vlad's popularity did not extend to all segments of society, particularly among the boyars, who resented his efforts to limit their power and influence. Nevertheless, his reputation as a wise and efficient administrator persisted throughout his reign. Much of what is now Romania was under Ottoman rule, and Vlad's reign coincided with the Ottomans' attempts to conquer Wallachia. His decision to resist the Ottomans and defend his territory led to war, although the conflict was not as extensive as some might imagine. The armies of Vlad and the Ottomans clashed on several occasions, resulting in battles as the Ottomans attempted to expand their domain into Wallachia. Vlad employed guerrilla tactics to harass the Ottomans, aiming to make their occupation of Wallachia unsustainable. His strategy proved effective to some extent, frustrating the Ottomans who were unable to advance further into Wallachia. Vlad's most famous military action during the Ottoman War was the night attack of 1462. This surprise attack caught the Ottoman army off guard, resulting in significant casualties and contributing to the retreat of the Ottoman forces from Wallachia. This victory was a testament to Vlad's military prowess and strategic brilliance, earning him recognition as a skilled commander. However, the Ottoman Empire was a formidable opponent, and despite Vlad's victories, Wallachia remained vulnerable to future attacks. Despite Vlad's efforts to resist the Ottomans, his refusal to pay tribute and his decision to ally with Hungary ultimately led to his defeat and imprisonment in 1462. Although the night attack is a famous event in Vlad's life, it's important to remember that warfare in the Middle Ages was not a continuous process. Battles were rare, and campaigns took place during certain seasons, usually in the summer. Much of the year was spent preparing for the next campaign. Armies were often engaged in other activities besides fighting, such as herding animals and tending fields. When not actively campaigning, soldiers could return home and resume civilian life until the next call to arms. Thus, there were intervals between battles, and each engagement was a distinct event within the overall context of the Ottoman War. But why was Vlad executed? Was it because of his brutality? The answer is no. Historians generally agree that Vlad was not executed due to his cruelty, but rather because of his inability to effectively govern and maintain stability in Wallachia. In fact, his record as a ruler was seen as unsatisfactory by both the Hungarians and the Ottomans, leading to his deposition and execution. The Ottomans found Vlad to be too independent and rebellious, while the Hungarians criticized his inability to provide effective leadership and protect Wallachia's interests. While Vlad may have been seen as a tyrant by his enemies, he was celebrated as a folk hero in Wallachian and Romanian memory. This discrepancy in perception highlights the complexities of Vlad's legacy and the different ways in which he has been remembered throughout history. Vlad's capture and imprisonment marked a turning point in his life and set the stage for his later years. After spending time in Ottoman custody, he was transferred to Hungary in 1464 and imprisoned in a fortress near Budapest. There he remained until 1476, enduring a decade of captivity. During his captivity, Vlad's health deteriorated and he suffered from various ailments, including leg ulcers that plagued him for 5 years. These health issues were a source of great pain and suffering for Vlad, both physically and emotionally. Fortunately, a doctor named Thomas provided him with care, alleviating some of his discomfort through baths and ointments. Despite facing physical challenges, Vlad remained defiant and refused to renounce his Wallachian heritage, which was a condition of his release from captivity. This steadfastness demonstrated Vlad's commitment to his identity and his unwillingness to compromise his loyalty to Wallachia. However, in 1476, Vlad was unexpectedly released from prison and allowed to return to Wallachia, possibly due to political considerations by the Hungarian king, Matthias Corvinus. Upon his return, Vlad was greeted with joy and celebration by the people of Wallachia, who saw him as a liberator. This reception was a testament to the loyalty and admiration that Vlad had earned during his previous reign. Tragically, Vlad's second stint as ruler of Wallachia was short-lived. He faced opposition from internal and external forces and ultimately lost the support of his allies. In his final battle in 1476, Vlad and his forces were defeated, resulting in his death in battle. This marked the end of Vlad's turbulent life and solidified his place in history as a controversial figure whose legacy continues to be debated and analyzed by historians and the public alike. Following Vlad's death, his head was cut off and hung from the tower of the church in Sighisoara, Transylvania, as a warning to potential enemies of Hungary. This gruesome fate was a stark contrast to the reverence he received upon his return to Wallachia and highlighted the brutal realities of the medieval world. Despite his troubled reign, Vlad's legacy has endured through the centuries. His story became intertwined with folklore and legend, shaping his image in popular culture. In particular, Bram Stoker's novel Dracula cemented Vlad's association with the infamous vampire myth. While Vlad's story has captured the imagination of many, it's essential to recognize the historical context in which he lived. His actions and policies must be examined within the realities of medieval governance and the conflicts of his time. In conclusion, Vlad the Impaler was a complex and controversial figure whose legacy continues to fascinate people today. Known as Dracula, he is a prominent symbol of resistance against oppression and tyranny. While his methods may have been brutal, his efforts to protect his people from external threats are still admired. Vlad's story serves as a reminder of the difficult choices and sacrifices that leaders sometimes have to make in times of conflict. In Romanian memory, Vlad is considered a national hero, a symbol of bravery and determination in the face of adversity. His story has become an integral part of Romanian folklore and culture, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and film. Beyond Romania, Vlad's story has captured the imagination of people around the world. His name has become synonymous with darkness and evil in popular culture, thanks in part to Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. However, it's important to remember that Vlad was a real historical figure whose story is just as fascinating as any work of fiction. As we continue to learn more about Vlad the Impaler, we gain a deeper understanding of the complex challenges and realities of his time. His legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of studying history and honoring the contributions of those who have shaped our world.